Maryland voters have elected the most diverse slate of leaders in the state's history. Leading the charge, Wes Moore, only the third black governor ever elected in the United States and the first for the state of Maryland. Joining me now here in studio, right next to me, live, is the next governor of Maryland, Wes Moore, governor-elect. Welcome back to the Sunday Show.
It is great to be back. Great to see you.
So when you were here the last time, you were a candidate, and you were up by a gajillion points. We all knew you were going to win, but you were like, no. The most important poll is what happens on Election Day. How does it feel?
It feels great because I feel like the people of Maryland have spoken. Not a demographic, not a geography. The people of the state have spoken. The results that we saw in the governor's race in Maryland is we won by the most decisive margin in close to 40 years in Maryland. And the only way you do that is not because you won Democrats or because you won a geography. We won Democrats. We won independents. We took a huge swath of Republicans. And so the thing that really makes me very excited about this moment, it's not just that we're walking in with a very clear mandate. It's that the people have collectively spoken and said it is time for us to move together, for us to actually focus more about is it a good idea than who did the idea come from? And I truly believe this is going to be Maryland's decade. And it's going to be because of the new coalition that we built and the new coalition that we plan on keeping. All
right. So with your victory, for the first time in Annapolis, the governor's mansion the governor is a Democrat. The House of Delegates and the Senate already have Democratic supermajorities, if I'm correct. So then what's governing going to look like? Do you even need to talk to Republicans to do what you want to do in Maryland?
You do, because it's not just about what can we do to get things passed. It's about how do we actually make them real to the lives of everyday Marylanders. You know, one thing that I remember having a conversation with a guy named Shannon, who was a waiter over in Western Maryland. And, he was telling me that he was working multiple jobs and still living just at the poverty line. And I told him what we want to do to be able to address economic growth and work, wages, and wealth for everyone in the state of Maryland. And he said to me, he said, listen, you've earned my vote. He said, I ask you one thing. He said, don't forget about us. And my message to Shannon today is the same message that I gave to him the day that I met him. I will never forget about you. Because I know that it was not just a group, it was not just Democrats that led to this historic win. And the way that I plan on governing is making sure that everyone will have their voice heard. Everywhere in the state, you're going to have both my ear and you're going to have my heart. And with that, we plan on just really creating and building that coalition that is going to advance the interests for all Marylanders.
In order to be elected governor, you traveled all around the state. Are you going to continue that as governor?
Absolutely. I told people when we were campaigning, they were like, you guys are everywhere. And I said, get used to it, because that's how I plan on governing.
As I mentioned at the outset, this is the most diverse slate of leadership in Maryland. You're African-American. The Attorney General, Anthony Brown, is African-American. Your Lieutenant Governor is South Asian.
That's right.
And the Comptroller is a woman.
Yes.
What does that say about Maryland?
I think what it says is that we have a slate that looks like the state of Maryland. And it's the same commitment that I have for our administration, that, we're going to have an administration that looks like the state of Maryland, where I want all Marylanders to be able to look up at the Moore-Miller administration and say, I see myself. And we know it's definitely not lost on me being the first African-American governor of the state, for my running mate, Aruna Miller, who is the first immigrant ever elected to statewide office, first woman of color ever to be the lieutenant governor for the state of Maryland. But we're also very clear that, that's not why we ran. While the history of it weighs on us, and it's very, very humbling, because I know the shoulders that I'm standing on. I also know that in this time, we have a unique opportunity to be able to make child poverty history, the racial wealth gap history, environmental injustice history. That's why I ran. And I know that we have a unique chance to actually get that done.
Real quickly, which one of those are you going to hit first in your first 100 days?
Well, I said there's going to be three things that I have as kind of the North Stars of what we want to get done in the next decade. We have to be able to make our state more competitive while also making it more equitable. We've got to address the issue of the racial wealth gap, and we've got to address the issue of climate change. And so, I'm a details guy. So to get into the details, it means we have to do things like raising the minimum wage. We cannot have people who are working jobs, in some cases multiple jobs, and still living below a poverty line. We've got to get past that. We're going to have a service year option for every high school graduate in the state of Maryland and give them a chance to serve. And we've got to make sure we're addressing things like the environment, and that includes things like fully funding the Bay Restoration Fund, because we've got to preserve and protect the Chesapeake Bay.
Last question. Your grandfather was born in South Carolina, but his Jamaican-born parents fled with him back to Jamaica to escape the Klan.
That's right.
You told me in an interview your grandfather eventually came back, and his explanation was, and I'm paraphrasing here if I don't get it right, this country would be incomplete without me. What would he say about his grandson today?
He'd say, democracy has a soul, and it doesn't have a geography. It doesn't have a demographic. It's going to be tested. It's going to be stressed. But I think the thing that we saw in our election is that democracy was strengthened. And I think that the thing he would say to me was that when he became the first black minister in the history of the Dutch Reformed Church. But he always stressed to me that that was never the assignment, right? The assignment was never to be the first. The assignment was to remember, in his case, that, God wanted him to teach the word of God to everybody. And I know that my assignment in this moment was not to be the first. I think he'd be proud. But I think what he'd be most excited about is making sure that his grandson understands the assignment.